Okay, so here we want to come up with expressions for s plus r of x, s minus r of x, and evaluate s times r of -1. So we're actually asked to be, what we're being asked is slightly different for these two. And right, these two, we're coming up with an expression in terms of x. This is an expression in terms of x, right? This is actually what would happen if you plugged in -1. So let's start with s plus r of x. So s plus r of x is equal to s of x plus r of x. Well, what is s of x? S of x is exactly this, and r of x is exactly this. So what we're going to get is just 2x minus 5, that's my s of x, plus 3x. And I can drop my parentheses, there's nothing being multiplied, right? It's just addition and subtraction. So this becomes 5x minus 5. So that's all we need, okay? Okay, so now for s minus r of x, just remember that s minus r of x is s of x minus r of x. Wow, that was written poorly. So what's s of x? This is 2x minus 5 minus, what's r of x? 3x. Okay, there's nothing to distribute here because there's just one term, so I don't have to worry about accidentally, not subtracting both terms. So this is 2x minus 5 minus 3x, and then I can group the 2x minus 3x, and what I get is negative x minus 5. And finally, we want to calculate s times r of -1. So s times r of -1. If I wanted to, I could come up with a general expression in terms of x, but I really don't have to. I can just write this as s of -1 times r of -1, because that's what s times r of -1 means. It means you calculate s of -1, you multiply by r of -1. And here there's really no reason to kind of come up with a general expression for this. So s of -1 is going to be, let's just put it like this, 2 times -1 minus 5, and then r of -1 is 3 times -1. So I get -2 minus 5 over here. 3 times -1 is -3. I'm multiplying, so notice what's being added and subtracted and what's being multiplied, right? This is a subtraction, right? So 2 times -1, that was multiplication, so I got -2. This is a subtraction, okay? So this is -7, but then this is multiplication times -3. -7 times -3 is 21.